Silent Hill F is out now. I gotta say, it's one of the best games I've played this year. It's somehow disturbing and also beautiful at the same time, and it's just all around one of the more compelling titles of the year. But it's got one fatal flaw. And it's one of those flaws that's so annoying that anytime I think back to this game, I'm going to be thinking about it. But before we get into Silent Hill F, if you enjoy my videos, maybe you're back from the last video, which totally blew up. Thank you guys so much for supporting it. If you like the videos, hit me with a subscribe. It helps me out a ton. I really appreciate it. Maybe a like, I don't know. Also, before we proceed, this video does not contain spoilers for the story. I'm going to be talking about mechanics of how the game works, but rest assured, there are no spoilers. So I think the main interesting thing about this game is its setting in Japan. This is totally different for Silent Hill and kind of a bold departure for the series if you think about it. It's not the first time we've been outside of Silent Hill, the actual place of Silent Hill in a Silent Hill game, but to focus a whole game around it and not just only in a new place, but in a totally different setting is the kind of bold creative decision that I really appreciate. And while the game distinctly takes place in a Japanese town, I really feel like they nailed all of what a Silent Hill game should feel like. The fog rolls in, you got the grotesque creatures, the creepy music that you would expect. It's all there. I think it adds something new though to Silent Hill with its art direction. It has all those things you'd expect, but I absolutely love the flowers in this game. It adds this interesting duality of somehow the town is becoming more corrupt and slightly more beautiful at the same time. I absolutely love what they did with this. I think the thing that I've always appreciated about Silent Hill as I've gotten into the series over the past few years is that its atmosphere first in horror. And don't get me wrong, I love Resident Evil and the more in-your-face classic horror stuff, but Silent Hill has always been focused on this unsettling, eerie feeling above all, and this absolutely nails it. I'm assuming the case for most people is that you want to play Silent Hill games for the story. And yeah, I recently played Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 over the last, 3 years, and I never was really into the combat of these games. I was in there for the psychological horror situation going on in these games. For me, and I think most people, the reason you play a Silent Hill game is for the story. The other games, Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3, and there's other ones after that, but 1, 2, and 3 are the ones I've played. I was there for the story, and I'm assuming that's probably the case for everybody. And the story in this game is, of course, the strongest part, thankfully. And so you play as a Japanese schoolgirl, and immediately I can understand why that might turn some people off. I think anime fans, while being a huge boost to Japanese culture, have maybe also been one of the biggest detriments. So the whole Japanese schoolgirl thing to our Western mind, I can understand that not really being something you really would want to do in a Silent Hill game traditionally, but let me just tell you straight up, you got to get over it. And I feel like because this game is still so Silent Hill at its core, with its atmosphere, the psychological aspects that is this real, is it not? You're going to like it even if you feel off-put by that. I think this game perfectly escalates the horror of the situation where, of course, right off the bat, it's not good right off the bat. There's already bad stuff going on. But as the game progresses, it gets more psychological. It has you questioning the other characters in the game and has you questioning things about the situation overall. With this being a Silent Hill game, a lot of the lore is told through documents you find around the world. And while sometimes I think documents can be a little overbearing in games where it's like, man, I don't want to sit here, I don't want to read constantly when I'm trying to play a game, these added a lot of helpful context and lore to the situation. And they were never too long or overbearing. And a lot of them even, you might read something and think like, weird. And then a few hours later, you'll realize like, oh, the scope is expanding here. And going back to that aspect about it ramping up, in the first hour or two, I had a big question of like, well, is this really a Silent Hill game? It checks a lot of the boxes, right? You've got fog, you've got a psychological story, you've got creepy monsters, you got the signature music, but is this really Silent Hill, or is this like another story that they kind of shoved Silent Hill elements into? And by the end of the game, that question was totally gone. I was like, yes, this absolutely is a Silent Hill game. It's going to have me thinking about it for weeks to come, thinking about all the different details and how they add together. It's clear to me that the creators of this game understood what Silent Hill is and made sure that it had those core elements and was respecting the legacy. But at the same time, Silent Hill is kind of an old series at this point, and it's time to add something new to it. We got Silent Hill 2 Remake last year. That's like the perfect love letter to Silent Hill OG fans. And now we're bringing something new to the table. With that being said, not all the new stuff in this game really did it for me. The combat is a mixed bag, I would say. This Silent Hill game really focuses on combat pretty extensively. During the preview cycle, I heard a lot of things of people saying it was a kind of a Souls-like or Souls-inspired. And as I'm playing it, I can kind of see that. There's a lot of perfect dodging and making sure you commit to the right attack or being heavily punished if you maybe do the wrong thing at the wrong time. The issue I really had is that as the game progresses, it just continues to shove more and more combat in your face. And it was getting really repetitive, particularly in the last act. There were points where I'm like, man, I'm in it for the story. And don't get me wrong, I want gameplay too, but it's like, just quit shoving the same enemies at me over and over. There are some really good boss fights in the game, and which is surprising to think of great boss fights from a gameplay perspective in a Silent Hill game. They're kind of few and far and in between though. But what's there is awesome. I'll give you a warning though right now, just because for some reason this is a really big deal to a lot of people. Hot take here. This game does have breakable weapons. So anyone having PTSD over Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, it is present here, but it's really not that big of a deal. You have weapons like the pipe, which do probably the least amount of damage, but they last the longest. And then things like kitchen knives and crowbars and axes that all have like different speeds and different breaking points. There's a lot of variety there. And I never felt like I was constantly breaking weapons. They give you lots of repair kits, and they'll also make sure to give you a steady supply as you play. This game does have a really peculiar issue with its settings in terms of the difficulty. When you start the game, here's some advice if you do decide to play this game, is that when the game starts, it gives you two options for difficulty. There is a story mode, and then there is a hard mode with an unlockable third, even harder difficulty once you beat the game. For me, I was staring at the screen. I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, I don't necessarily want to play story mode because that sounds like this super easy mode. So I guess I'm going to play on hard and see how it goes. And then I ended up playing probably half the game on hard mode. And let me tell you, it is very difficult to the points where I was definitely struggling at a lot of points. I was considering switching to easy, but I kept going. And eventually about halfway through the game, I was just getting so annoyed with the difficulty. And so I switched it over to easy, or I guess not easy, but story. And the story mode then is a story mode. It is easy mode. And so you only have these two options, easy and hard. And it seems like to me, the best way to handle this if you're starting this game is that you should play on story. For your first playthrough, go through, you can keep all of your different upgrades while you play the game, which that's also part of the combat. You can keep those. And it makes a lot more sense to play the first playthrough on story and then go into hard mode with those upgrades, which are going to help you out a lot. If you really want a challenge, you can go for hard mode on your first playthrough. I personally don't recommend it. I think that the combat in too many situations, I was in really tight spots, and it just made it not really ideal for an enemy to kill me in literally 2 hits or to get grabbed and be insta-killed. It just was one of those things where I'm like, man, this isn't what I'm here for. But I would have liked to see a middle difficulty, because I just mentioned 1 to 2 hits on hard mode for pretty much every enemy. But on easy mode, it was maybe doing like 10% of my hit of the damage on each hit. But yeah, I wouldn't say by any means the combat is bad at all. I actually really liked the combat on hard mode until it just got too annoying for me to deal with. The combat takes a little bit to get used to. It's very weighty and floaty at the same time. Your dodges are really quick. Certain attacks, though, you really got to commit to. So it's a flow that you got to get used to. And yeah, pretty standard for a Silent Hill game that there are kind of a set of enemies you deal with throughout the game. They're all designed really well and are super creepy and weird. But by the end, you're like, man, I've fought this doll lady a million times. And there's other enemies later in the game that I won't put on screen just to save them for you to see them in the game. But when you see them, you're just like, oh no, they have so much health. There's so much health. So combat, pretty good, not perfect. Story and atmosphere, amazing. All these elements so far means this game's awesome. I mean, I played it, I finished it, and I thought, damn, this game is overall amazing. It's one of the best games I played this year. But I mentioned the fatal flaw at the beginning of the video, and this is probably going to be the most contentious aspect where I can see a lot of people disagreeing with me. That's okay. You can let me know if you disagree down in the comments. But the fatal flaw, and real quick, sorry, another qualifier. If you're like me right now, going into this, your spoiler sensors are going to go off, being like, oh no, should I turn off this video? This guy's going to spoil something. I promise you, no spoilers. But this flaw does pertain to the ending of the game. And Silent Hill games have always had multiple endings. And I think that's really cool. I've played a lot of games with multiple endings. And usually these multiple endings are a way to provide a different ending, a different viewpoint of what you just played. I would say it's additive overall. You can play through the game again, get a little bit of a different experience, have your upgrades and stuff like that. And then you can experience a different way to end the game. For Silent Hill F though, the ending that you get clearly feels like you need to play through the game, not just once, but multiple times to get the other endings of the game, to get the full picture of the story. I think there are 3 additional main endings to the game. And after I finished it, I was doing some research trying to be like, man, I just mentioned about how the combat kind of gets old and repetitive. And then I really enjoyed the story, particularly the end of the game. I was like, what else is there? And I was reading about the other playthroughs of the game, and they do change some of the dialogue. They add some different cutscenes, but by and large, it is the same experience. And so it's a lot to ask from you to be like, hey, thanks for playing for the last 8 to 10 hours. And hope you enjoyed that. If you really want to get the full picture, though, you're going to have to give us dozens of more hours. And to me, that just feels like padding the situation. It's unsatisfying for you when you beat the game to be like, oh, do it again. And this isn't like a Nier Automata situation where there are multiple endings. You're supposed to do multiple playthroughs, but the playthroughs are vastly different. Some of them are not even the same game at all. It's totally different. It's not like that. When I finished the game, I was sitting there. I mentioned I was doing research. And I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. I guess there's other games I want to play. There's other things to do in life, and while I really like this, I just don't want to go through that again. So I ended up watching the other endings on YouTube, and that's just unsatisfying. Sure, I've watched other game endings games that have multiple endings on YouTube before, and it was just a minor additive experience. But with this, it was like this feeling of like, I really did want to play that and experience it, but I also know what it actually is. I don't have the time to commit to 3 playthroughs of Silent Hill F. And maybe you play this game and you do really enjoy that aspect of it, and you want to give this game 30, 40 hours of your time, and that's great. God bless you. There's no problem with that. But I think for me and maybe some others, it's just going to feel unsatisfactory at the end because of that format. And I know that the writer of this game, he's like well known for like multiple playthroughs and stuff like that, and that's cool. No disrespect. It didn't work for me. So yeah, I guess maybe I'm a stickler that if you play through a game, you get the intended experience. Multiple endings after that are an additive experience or new game plus. Of course, exceptions apply, Nier Automata. You know what I mean. So that's the fatal flaw, the multiple playthroughs aspect. See, I told you there wouldn't be any spoilers. So it's not the combat. It's not whether it is or isn't a Silent Hill game. That's the thing that really bothered me. But with that being said, I still recommend this game highly. If you know that going in and maybe you are prepared for multiple playthroughs, or you're fine just reading up, watching some YouTube videos about the other endings, that's fine too. So let me know what you think about Silent Hill F. Are you cool with this new direction? Did you play it? Were you also frustrated in its format? Let me know down below. I'd really love to see your feedback. I read all the comments, so go ahead, leave them below. And also, if you didn't earlier, hit me with a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. It helps out my small channel. And thank you guys once again for supporting this channel. The last video did crazy. I have no idea why. Really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And by the way, if you're looking for an in-depth story conversation, I'm pretty positive we're going to do one over at my main job at Last Stand. We'll do a Sacred Symbols Plus spoiler cast on Silent Hill F. I don't know when that's going to be yet, but if you stay tuned in or subscribe to Last Stand Media on Sacred Symbols and my Twitter, that's also linked below. We'll let you know when that spoiler cast is going to be for you to check out. All right, that's it. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you next time.